What are the most popular issues that are brought up in the US educational system? How do you think?
Money, expensiveness of good education.
Деньги, дорогостоящее обучение, и серьезного образования хорошего.
Equality. We have a vast difference in our country between the rich and the poor, and also between the native speakers of English and the immigrant speakers of English.
Равноправие, очень большая разница между богатыми людьми и малообеспеченными, а также между теми, кто, жителями, которые давно уже живут в Америке, и какими-то иммигрантами, недавно приехавшими людьми.
And when you use the word native in America, in most cases it refers specifically to the tribes, the people who were living there before Europeans ever came. So it's not native speakers of English, it's native speakers of some other language, and some of that is still present, but it's not actively suppressed, it just isn't supported. Speaking about Native Americans, yes, which is one of our we call it a minority, but think of it, they were the majority at the time that Europeans first appeared in America. And for several centuries, I think 5, I have to do the arithmetic, they have been more or less off, they haven't been paid attention to. Their position in the world has gone down and down and down. It looks like that might be changing now, but when you ask about Native Americans, those would be the people that Americans are thinking of. I don't think that's what you meant. I think you meant people who go to college and universities and hold down big jobs in America.
Речь идет о коренных жителях, о том, что слово native не о тех людях, которые говорят носители языка английского, а именно о коренных жителях, которые были еще до того, как европейцы приехали. Вот. И изначально их было большинство, но им не уделялось достаточно внимания, и постепенно они уходили как-то на периферию и меньше социальную значимость приобретали. Вот. И сейчас тенденция... Did I understand you right, that now the position of Native Americans is getting better, or not?
It looks better. You could ask Native American leaders who would say no, it's just as bad as ever. But at least they're being asked now. I think that would be my sign that it is beginning to get better.
Но сейчас становится их положение лучше. Кто-то может утверждать, что по-прежнему все плохо, но по мнению Лорен, их хотя бы сейчас стали спрашивать, их мнение стали учитывать, и это говорит о том, что все-таки их положение улучшается. Do you have any other issues in your mind in American educational system?
Yeah, but let me just put it in a broader context. America, through the 19th and most of the 20th century has been, we call it riding high. Everything seems to be developing well. There are disagreements and so on, but it is often called the richest country in the world. More people go to school for longer times. People live in bigger houses and better arranged houses. Now that's it's no longer absolutely true. I'm seeing examples in another direction here, but I don't have a good sense yet of who is in these bigger houses and better houses now than 50 or 100 years ago in Russia. But it's more than that. If you go back 70 years or so, you find many areas of the U.S. that don't speak an English that is completely understandable to the rest of the people in the world.
It's 70 years ago, or
let me think a minute. Well, the first 20 years before World War I was heavily divided by race with blacks. And, I mean, America's been extremely wealthy. Individuals, maybe not more than wealthy individuals in Europe and some parts of the world, but on average, coming out of World War II, America was barely touched at home by that war, and almost every other country in the world was partially destroyed by it. So until pretty recently, Americans could be viewed as everything is going well. It doesn't view itself so much that way anymore. That's changed.
Америка все время была довольно состоятельной страной, и в целом люди жили очень хорошо, и в среднем тоже, но относительно последствий Второй мировой войны большинство стран эта война как-то задела, и они были разрушены, из-за этого экономическая ситуация изменилась. А Америку она практически не коснулась, и поэтому страна по-прежнему выглядела такой успешной, и в социальном плане, и в экономическом все было хорошо. Но сейчас это изменяется. Или изменилось уже?
Well, that's where we are now. There is more interest in changing that again and making America, the U.S., a country that is more receptive to the needs of all of its people. But we're not so far along in doing that. There is a changing attitude with wanting to take more attention back to average people in America, not only the wealthy. And that's very live. There is a lot of movement in that direction.
Раньше было меньше внимания к среднему классу, а сейчас такая тенденция, что наоборот стараются обращать внимание на людей со всех слоев общества и к среднему классу в том числе, и как-то развивать вот это социальное движение.
Yeah, so that's, you know, it's maybe not perfect, but it's going reasonably. But then the very effort to pay more attention to poorer people, people who have less resources, who don't speak English, who have been separated from their families. As more people, more Americans become interested in changing that, helping people in that, a reaction arises of let's push them back out. Let's not. We have to do something for people who were born here and belong here. So it's complicated, and you can't always tell it by just listening to the surface words. You have to know who's saying it and where they last visited.
Сейчас все больше и больше внимания к бедным людям, к людям, которые были отделены от своих семей, к тем, кто плохо говорит на английском, но в то же время, ну, и люди, американцы, тоже хотят помогать как-то, то есть в умах людей появились эти намерения, но в то же время появилась и обратная какая-то тенденция о том, что нет, давайте перестанем обращать на них внимание, и все еще, ну, снова вернемся к коренным жителям и к тем, кто тут живет давно, и обратим внимание все-таки на них.